And welcome back to Choreograph Critics. Today we will be discussing Survivor Series and the events happening with that. All right, welcome to the show, everybody. I'm John, and joining me always is Joel.
Hey. Hey, John. So I hope you had a Thanksgiving. That was wonderful. I know I'm very thankful that Survivor Series was much better than Crown Jewel.
Me too. Yeah, I did have a pretty good Thanksgiving. I hope you did as
Good.
well.
I did.
Um, you're looking very festive today with your elf Will Ferrell shirt.
That's right. That's right. This is not sponsored by Will Ferrell, though I'm sure he gladly would. I've seen him in like a Verizon commercial, and he looked kind of, not too shabby. But yeah, Survivor Series was fantastic. I'd have to say, if you look at Crown Jewel, the energy level was low. The energy level was high for Survivor Series going into it. So right off the bat, we had some stuff slide in last minute. We didn't discuss LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura. That was kind of last minute. The triple threat was kind of last minute between Braun Breaker, Sheamus, and of course Ludwig Kaiser.
Yep. Um, I I mean, we kind of talked about Shinsuke and LA a little bit. Not that they were gonna have a match this quick. Just that the U.S. title picture has gotten a little bit different with adding Shinsuke in. And yeah, I thought it was interesting they added Ludwig Kaiser to the IC match. It made it a little more interesting, I guess, because it seemed like whoever was just going to go in there one on one with Braun Breaker, there was just
Yeah,
no chance they would have won. So this at least
right.
gave it like some sort of variance that it wouldn't have had otherwise. Um, so yeah, those two matches were interesting. We had the uh, World Heavyweight Title match with Gunther and Priest that we were able to cover. Um, we covered the two women's matches. That's how the show started. Actually, was the women's war game match, and it was bookended by the men's. I kind of like that. I don't know if I've seen a card where they put like back to back war games matches on it, but I don't know if I'd want to see that. So I'm kind of glad they spaced it out the way they did.
Oh yeah, the pacing was great. It's always a little weird when you have two rings. I was discussing with my wife. I said, if I had to go to a PLE, I would not choose Elimination Chamber or War Games because depending on your seat, you're not going to be able to see the talent as well as a single ring and nothing in between you. So I will say it's a little weird when you got the two rings and you start a War Games match. The cage is there, and then you raise it, and you have your normal matches, but they're supposed to be confined to one ring. Um, but the pacing was good. The pacing was brilliant. I felt like the whole night had an air of just general. I used this earlier. I said high energy. I felt like everybody was excited to perform. Everything was kind of festive right after the holiday. They're in Canada. You have Sami Zayn there. It's too bad Kevin Owens didn't get to fight Cody there because I think the crowd would have been pleased. Because
Yeah,
I think I heard Kevin Owens with a promo on Survivor Series say, "Your American nightmare will become my Canadian dream." I just thought that was funny. Uh, but okay, so we did start with the women's. What did you think? I was blindsided by a stellar performance. I was very pleased.
yeah, no, it was a very good performance, and it didn't blindside me so much because I just remembered back to last year, like the women had a better match in general than the
Mm.
men. I don't know if that necessarily carried over this time, but yeah, it was very good for how thrown together it was. Um, they started the match with Bailey and Nia Jackson there. Um, and then slowly, got the other competitors in. The way it works is the first two have 5 minutes, and then it's 3 minutes per uh, like added teammate. Um, so I thought it was interesting they started with Bailey and Nia because Bailey was, the last person added to this match, but I guess like throughout the week they've been kind of building her up as to like being somebody who Bianca can trust. So that was maybe another pull there was, hey, I'll start this thing off. And then Nia just being the women's champ, like you kind of figured she would kind of want to dictate everything and, be one of the last or the last person out of the cage. But the fact she started out first and um arguably has the least stamina, I guess, of all the women that are in the match, but
Mm-hmm.
she made it the whole way, and yeah, it was fun watching everything there. Was there anything about the order of these women entering or anything that surprised you or
No, I guess so. Yeah, it was thrown together like we stated last preview. I was blindsided by the performance of the face team or Rhea's team. And I also noted that Jax entering with low stamina and carrying through the entire match was impressive. Of course, Io Sky with her trash can. Is that now like her thing? Is
it's got to be,
that
yeah.
I know. I think Cole and Graves were saying she's cemented her, you know, her trademark for war games. So everything was good in that match up until you had Tiffany Stratton and Io Sky up there. I I despise lag with aerial move setups. I really don't like when you can see competitors anticipate for too long, and I call it
Yeah.
lag because they group, they're getting ready for the spot, and as a viewer, you kind of it breaks your immersion because you go, okay, I know what they're doing here. Anticipation building, and then there's that fine line between building the spot and the lag. The lag happens when you have EO looking across for a safety check and being like, is Tiffany on board with this? Okay. Tiffany looks back at EO. Are they on board? They look down. It's like a giant safety check. And it's like, I get it. We're in a different era. But lag didn't really exist before, I would say, the aggression era. You just went up there and you pulled the spot. So I would say that was one area that whenever you have these incredible moments and you are throwing your body off of a steel cage, you have to be mindful of that lag and how you implement it. Otherwise, it just looks, well, fake.
Yeah, and I think part of it with this, like they should have done like a multicam for it, just kind of one on EO, one on Tiffany, because when you got to pull it out to see both of them in there, it is very obvious like all the women are gathering to catch the person. Like I don't know if there's a good way to film that with one camera. So that's kind of how I feel about it, but I do see where you're coming from, and a lot of it probably is just safety and compliance things, just making sure you're gonna be able to do the spot without, yeah, catastrophically hurting yourself. And the other thing too, like EO had the garbage can over her, so it's like she had to it was on Tiffany to make it coordinated, I guess. Um,
Right.
but yeah, that's an interesting point though. It does seem like they take a long time to set up the spots, make sure it's safe, then do it, and yeah, it does take away some of the legitimacy of it, I would say.
It's like when you see like a triple suplex or something and you can see them checking. You can see them checking with the talent. You're like, are you ready? Are you gripped? Are you ready to take the bump? And that's all fine. It's just the choreography has to be paced and it can't have that break or that leg. I will say though, that double power bomb, the back-to-back double power bomb
Oh yeah.
onto other so a double back-to-back power bomb onto backs. That was just that was great. That was a highlight. The whole show was very well timed except for those slight breaks in immersion. Everyone shined. I felt like the heels had more of a powerhouse mentality. Because if you take away Rhea Ripley, the face team without Jade Cargill doesn't have as much oomph as a Rodriguez with a Jax.
Yeah.
So we both thought the heels would come away with this one. I was pleasantly surprised with the ending.
Yeah, definitely. And it was cool too, like when Rhea came out for her entrance, she had the protective mask, but it had like horns on it. Like they made it look cool, which, you know, after I saw her like that, I'm like, why don't they just always do this? Like, why do we ever have the undashing Cody Rhodes look out there?
Yeah.
Or,
Oh yeah.
you know, like, why do we, why do we, like, they make everything else look cool or flashy. Like, why not that thing? But yeah, so I thought it was kind of cool her taking some spots with the mask as far as like headbutting Naya with it, and then eventually just ripping it off. Like she was fine without it. Um, I forget where I was going with that exactly, but
Oh, it was very Baphomet, with her horns and goat-like appearance. It was great though. What did you think about Morgan seemingly? I'm gonna bail on this. Nope, I'm just grabbing a bat
yeah, I
and
like that.
coming back to the. Yeah, I did too. For a second, I thought, oh, she's gonna chicken out, and there's gonna be this weird like Rhea has to go and get her. I don't know if you can. Can you leave war games, or does that?
I don't know, because you could just climb right over. So
Right, right.
and we saw plenty of that, like even with people entering. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know, like what would happen if you climbed out. Like, would you just take a DQ for the team? Like, I don't think that's very clear. Um, but yeah, I thought it was funny her coming back with the baseball bat. I did think they were gonna go 4v5 for a little bit, and then, like you said, either Rhea go chase her down, or I don't know, like she just came later, something like she noticed everyone's
I
down, or
thought Dominic, I thought
oh,
Dominic would get involved and be like, "Get out there, I support you" or something. I
that'd
don't
be
know.
funny if he was like her encouragement. Yeah, like just trying to talk her up. Like, no, you got this. Um, yeah. What else happened in this? Kind of earlier in the match, Candice LeRae had this spot where she did like a she basically did a I want to say it was to yeah, it was to Bailey. She did a code breaker to Bailey and like ended up landing on Naomi like with this like
Mm-hmm.
backdrop kind of thing. Like that was kind of a cool delivering punishment to two people at the same time. Um let's see. There was that moonsault trash can spot you brought up.
Mm-hmm.
Uh Raquel ends up disrupting Tiffany trying to cash in the Money in the Bank contract. There was
That's
a
right.
there's a
Yep.
point where Liv and Nia were both laying down and they were like next to each other, and then she goes into the trash can that I assume she brought in the ring because it had the briefcase in it. I thought that was kind of a cool way to get it in there because like during the entrances I sent you a text. I'm like, oh, no briefcase, like interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I was
Um,
like, could she cash in? And you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, so she snuck it in with the trash can. Raquel disrupted that, and then Io ended up spraying everyone with the fire extinguisher that I think Rhea brought in originally. Um, let's see. They set up some tables, and Io and Bailey kind of have a stare down, like they're not sure if they're cool anymore, or not anymore, but they shouldn't be cool because they'd broken up earlier in the year, and they kind of
Lots of tension.
yeah, they brought that tension into the fold, which was necessary. I think earlier in the week I'd texted you saying like I I wish Io could speak better English just so like she
Right.
could convey like she doesn't want Bailey on this team. Like that was to me the one person that should have had the most beef with, Bailey being there. So it's good they had this stare down anyway. They at least acknowledged like there's something there. But Naya ends up, destroying them, bringing them down. She sets Bianca up on a table and teases like she's gonna do the Annihilator from the top turnbuckle.
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
would have been pretty cool to see. But instead, it gets turned around, and of course, Naya ends up getting powerbound through the table in the spot that she was trying to set that up.
The
Um,
staging for weapons, really, really good. Usually I'm not like, oh yeah, let's get the weapons in right away, but I felt like the staging was great because everything was kind of utilized and wasn't utilized too early, too late, just kind of staggered.
yeah, definitely. Um, and let's see. So pretty sure they go for the pin on Bianca, or sorry, on Naya after that. But Liv ends up breaking it up with a bat. The bat wasn't really that involved except for the beginning, and then kind of breaking up this pinfall. Um, there's a point towards the end there where Liv basically tries to put Rhea through the table and ends up getting reversed into the riptide from the top rope, which
Yeah.
Rhea ends up submitting the pinfall there. 1, 2, 3. Team Rhea, team Babyface, team no title, whatever you want to call them. They end up winning.
Yeah.
Um, as far as a letter grade for this match, I'm gonna give it a B. I was almost gonna give it a B plus, but like we talked about before it even happened, it was just so thrown together. Like to
Yep.
me, part of the letter grade has to go into like the ultimate story with it because I mean we've seen some matches in like AEW and stuff where just the physicality is awesome, the moves they do are awesome, but there's no
Mm.
reason that they're fighting each other at all. And to me,
Yeah.
that just takes things down a bit. Um, I mean, there were tiny little feuds in this match, but yeah, it still just felt too thrown together for me to reward it with a B plus. So I went with a B.
Yeah. I went with a B minus. Um, just because of what you stated, they really drew from lots of history between duos and past transgressions. But the actual match, yeah, it was a pure fusion collective. And I hate that name, by the way. But that's the best to describe how that was just kind of thrown together. So yeah, B minus. It would have graded higher for me if we had the build we have with the men's War Games match. The men's War Games match, everything except for the last people, right? Reed and Punk, was set in stone for at least 6 months.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, so yeah, we're in agreement. Then we both think it could have been a little better had it the build been there. But yeah, as far as like the in ring action goes, like I was very impressed. You were too.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it goes sometimes, I guess. If they just kind of, I don't know, feel the need to have the match, I guess. Like, I don't know. Would the show have been significantly worse without a women's War Games match? I don't know. It's hard to say, but
It depends. I mean, if we would have got Cody and KO, might have made up for it. But damn, there were so many incredible spots. So I think yes, it was worth the gathering of all the ladies to make that match happen.
yeah,
And overall, I like it. I liked how Rhea kind of came out on top. We get to see some closure there. We still get the tease of Tiffany trying to cash in. But yeah, uh, a B through and through. It's not going to reach an A.
No.
It's not going to reach a C because the performance was just stellar, but a B through and through for me.
Sure.
And after that, we get LA Knight versus Shinsuke. This also felt thrown together. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it felt thrown together. I mean, they had 2 weeks to make Shinsuke look cool, and then like put together the Japanese video package. I don't know. Like, I like seeing those video packages. I said it last week, but I'm starting to think about it now, and really, he could be doing the exact same like promos he did with Cody, and we'd have no idea, unless we took the
Mm-hmm.
time to like break down what everything translated to and then compare it. Um, but um,
Basically.
yeah, so it's cool to see, but it might just be recycled shit. I don't know. Um,
John, back when Shinsuke, who is now a Sith Lord, by the way, for those who don't know, he's a full-fledged Sith. Uh, he was doing the boiler room kind of throwback to like almost a Mankind dark red lighting when he was feuding with Rhodes. And I used to joke, I was like, oh, he's working at an Amazon warehouse and he's complaining about his boss again. Because, out of context, you just tune into that. If you can imagine being like someone who doesn't pay attention to wrestling, you're just I don't know if there are a lot of channel flippers anymore, but my point is if you just tune it out of context and you have Shinsuke in a dark, poorly lit room with red highlights, and he's like, his own name was Nana. It's just like you said, it's the same thing. He always cuts those promos the same way. Are they bad? No. Will they get old though? Yeah, they will get old. So I hope they know how to kind of make him interesting now that they put the title on him. And holy
yeah,
shit, John. Poor LA Knight. I texted you. I said, I think they did him dirty. You said there was not enough build to have Knight drop the belt tonight or last night at Survivor Series. Do you have any hard feelings about that? I really feel like if they don't have much in store for Knight going up the card, this was a poor decision.
yeah, and with the other people that were in the U.S. title picture too, like I almost kind of feel like it did them dirty in a way because they
Mm,
had like a best of seven, and then had like the triple threat with LA Knight, and they would just always lose, 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 and then here comes Shinsuke. He's been around for 2 weeks. Gets in there and just is able to foil LA Knight. Like it's weird to me. And I had mentioned in text to you that I think maybe LA Knight was hurt. I
mm.
don't know for sure, but like he did seem a little off the whole match, and that could have just been good storytelling by him. Just being like, oh, I got misted the other day, and that's really throwing me off. And Shinsuke's been around for however long, and blah blah blah. Like you could give yourself reasons that LA Knight would have doubt in this match and end up losing, but again, it was just only 2 weeks. Like I don't know. I think maybe they just needed to or felt the need to get the title onto a heel. I kind of mentioned that a few weeks ago where I thought, okay, maybe the direction for this is getting it on Carmelo because two of the three involved at the time were kind of the baby face. Um, but now you put it on a heel Shinsuke. Um, yeah, it's I don't know. The injury just makes sense to me for how brief the feud was. Um, but
Yeah,
I don't
that
know.
would seem that would seem like a legitimate reason. Part of me felt like, oh man, are they like looking at his merch sales and
Mm,
are they fading? And they're like, oh well, time to pull the plug on Knight. You had your shot, buddy. Um, So hopefully, if he's not injured, this is a pivot for him to go up the card again. However, having Shinsuke abruptly take the title away from an opportunity to put it on Hayes, But Dronde, it is. It's a little jarring. And I don't know. Do you think they're gonna have LA Knight come back and get a rematch, or it the whole thing? I gave this match a C.
Yeah, me
It
too.
it wasn't. Yeah, you did. Okay, because it was so average through and through from the build to the spots. Like you said, LA Knight fell off. There was something. There was some sadness in the air. Nakamura was fine. He did a really good job. I felt like he carried the performance. So yeah, maybe LA Knight is injured because he certainly fell off.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it could just be very good storytelling because like he got misted, and then he took like one elbow shot that like commentary talked about like for the rest of the match essentially. So there could be some of that to it. They they did the thing where LA Knight tries to jump all the way on the top ropes and he like biffed it a little bit, but like he had looked better in that than he did in the crown jewels spot where he messed it up.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know. There's just something off about all this, and maybe we'll find out. But yeah, um, also gave it a C, and essentially how the match ended was like Shinsuke lured LA Knight in between the two rings. He tried to get a
Mm.
suplex off in that tiny space in between. LA Knight counters it, but then he counters LA Knight again by giving a poke to the eye, and getting a DDT off in that spot. And then LA Knight kind of rolls back into the whichever ring was the legal ring, um, and gets a Kinshasa to the face or the back of the head,
Yeah,
rather.
yeah, it was like a hidden blade.
Yeah, it was basically a hidden blade, but the knee to the back of the head. It actually looks worse because I'm not convinced hidden blade is that, uh, you know, that punishing. But um,
Right.
so yeah, C. I almost wanted to give it a D plus just because I was pissed off in the moment. But
Yeah,
it wasn't
I
like a
tried
bad
not to.
match.
No, yeah, I try not to have my personal expectations get in the way of grading. But
Yeah.
yes, I was tempted to be like, this is bullshit. Just because we got to remember the lineage of this. Like you said, Nakamura came back out of nowhere. He's in tip top shape. I felt like he bulked up a tiny bit. I love his wardrobe, whatever. Entrances, stellar. But LA Knight, man, the lineage here, my God, I was just saying he hasn't had any real good feuds, except for maybe with AJ Styles. But as a United States champion, he took it off of Paul. Everybody wanted that to happen. That was perfect. Way to shoot him up into the stars and capitalize on his pop. But this, this to me, creatively was a botch. Again, there's something going on behind the scenes, and I think we can leave it there because we both. I want to know more.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those gray areas you may or may not find out more, you know? Like it
Yeah,
could just
yeah.
be left as is, and then we don't see LA Knight until his rematch. But I don't know if there's really a rematch clause anymore. They used to
Oh
always bring that up back in the day, but I don't know if that exists anymore. I was just thinking about that the other day because like Priest didn't have like a rematch for his World Heavyweight
mm.
Championship ever. Like he had to earn this one. And this is months since he lost it. So I don't know. I don't know if they just pick and choose when they want that to exist, or um I don't know. Anyways, so after this match we had the Intercontinental Championship match of Braun Breaker
Yeah.
versus Sheamus versus Kaiser. Um we had talked about like these three guys kind of not extensively, but we gave a little bit of our thoughts on these three going into the future. But we weren't sure that there was going to be a match this quick, I guess. Um,
No, I was surprised.
And this didn't feel thrown together like the last one because I mean these guys have all kind of been around for the last couple months, like give and take, a few weeks in between them addressing each other again. But um yeah, so this match was a lot more interesting. Um how did you feel about uh basically, I don't know, like the fact that Kaiser got added to this, I guess.
Oh, coming off our preview with me being like, "Oh, he's on his way up." I was like, "Yes." I was excited. I do find him entertaining. I find him very charismatic. I think he meshes well at the mid-card level and he can only go up from here. And I love when Sheamus has somebody to just piss him off. We saw it with like Pete Dunne and I love too that Braun Breaker, he kind of needs his opponents to have charisma. I'm not saying he's lacking, but he's very one dimensional. Braun Breaker to me is a better packaged Goldberg. Goldberg. When I say better packaged, it's not really creatively. It's just the fact that he is a real athlete that's made for this. He has the genetic lineage as well. So if you could throw in a Kaiser to make things kind of freshen up this triple threat, it was brilliant because Sheamus, what do you expect, right? Banger after banger. Okay, beats of the ballot. All right. You know his playbook. Breaker, you're going to get some dogs barking. You're going to get some spears. So if we just had Sheamus and Breaker, I don't know. I think Kaiser was the perfect ingredient to make this feel fresh, dynamic, and things really started to pick up. I got into this match. It was fun.
Yeah.
I one of my favorite spots was Kaiser two I think two different times setting up the chair and being like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get this. You guys don't know what's coming," and they're both like, "This guy, look at this," and I love that. And then if you recall, Sheamus rising from the crowd
Oh, yeah.
because he didn't get to do his 10 beats, right? Because Breaker's like, no, 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 you're not gonna get that on the ropes. This is my yard, you know. And having him just rise with Kaiser's face, and you need someone like Kaiser to do this because he says so. There's not just storytelling through your actions and words. There's storytelling through your facial expressions, and Kaiser's good at that. And it was great to see him be as smug as he is naturally and have somebody like Sheamus just rise up and be like, and then celebrate with all the fans who are ecstatic to have this immersion right in front of them. So
Yeah.
it was great. I have nothing but good things to say. Now, I didn't give it a super high grade, not because the match was lacking, but in contrast to the whole card.
Okay.
I gave it a C plus.
Where did I land on that? I actually, okay, so this is probably going to be where we disagree the most that we have on any show. Cuz
Okay.
yeah, cuz I gave it a B. Um
Okay.
I thought it was really really fun. All the people in it made sense. Or Breaker had that spot where like he jumped off the ring apron into Kaiser and Sheamus fighting each other by the
Oh yeah.
announce table and then like knocks him over. Like that was awesome. I thought that Kaiser got a good amount of offense in. He was able to foil Breaker on one spot where you see him like getting ready to just like sprint outside and you think give a spear to Sheamus, but then Kaiser like baseball slides from in the ring and just kind of
Oh yeah.
disrupts that. And then Kaiser gets his own like running knee shot into Sheamus, leaning on the entrance stairs, which is something he's kind of been doing a lot lately. Um, so he gets that spot in, but then ends up eating a Braun Breaker spear, which just yeah, it was just awesome. Um, I thought it was awesome seeing Sheamus try to deliver like the razor's edge or whatever he calls it from the top turnbuckle.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Yep.
that was that was a really awesome spot.
Oh, the shillelagh.
Shillelagh. Yep.
Oh man, Kaiser let him have it. I feel like Sheamus was in the back with him, and he's like, "All right, here's going to be a bagger. You really gonna hit me?" And like he let him have it, dude. Did you? There was some welts immediately,
Oh yeah.
some bruising, but you're convincing me. I want. I'm not gonna do it, but I agree with you. It was a really good match. If it wasn't for the fact that I gave the women's match a B minus, and I felt like that match, performance wise, was more entertaining than this triple threat.
Sure.
And I gave that a B minus. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with my C plus. And it was great. It wasn't. It didn't feel like the LA Knight match where I felt deflated. I knew the outcome. I knew Breaker would retain,
Right.
but it was just fun. It was fun to see something injected into it that gave Breaker more life. Because without the right injection, Breaker does feel very one dimensional.
Yeah, definitely. What was I gonna say? There was something. No, I mean you covered it already. The Shillelagh. Um,
Oh yeah,
but yeah, basically how the match ended was Kaiser. He gets Sheamus with the Kaiser roll, but then like as soon as he gets
I
up from
love
that,
it.
he's just speared immediately by Braun, and then Braun hits Sheamus with the spear as well and gets the pin there. Um, yeah, so I thought this was basically equally as entertaining as the women's war game match for different reasons. Obviously there was so much more showcased in the women's war games match, but I think I don't know, just the fact that this kind of had more story to me evened it out. Like I was saying earlier, I would have probably given the women's match a B plus if the story was there. So, um, yeah, so that's where I fell on it. I thought it was great. Um, Next match was Gunther versus Priest. Um, they at the beginning of the match, it seemed like Priest just had the upper hand, just because they were kind of playing up the
Yeah,
Gunther doubts and stuff like that. But that quickly got flipped on its head once Priest like ended up getting his shoulder hurt in whatever spot or hurt. I don't know if he's really injured.
yeah. The
But
sharks melt the blood in the water.
exactly, yeah, Gunther just promptly takes advantage and ends up getting him out of the ring. Irish whips him into the barricade into the bad shoulder. Um, he kind of methodically takes apart Priest for like minutes at that point. Like it wasn't boring, but it was just like a lot of just Priest taking it, right? Um,
Yeah,
and then Priest almost gets put into a sleeper at one point, but Gunther like had to transition it into a power bomb. Um, but Priest ends up countering that, but can't like lift Gunther due to his arm thing. Puts him in like a DDT, and then he kind of gets him in like a triangle hold too. But was there anything else that kind of stuck out to you that happened in their exchange?
yeah. So I like that they work that angle with the shoulder because I felt like you had to have some type of caveat to Priest's confidence in this match. So I thought that was brilliant because coming into it, I'm like, why is this guy getting another title shot? Why is Gunther even interested in fighting? There's so many other talented people on the roster for him to feud with. But at the end of the day, I liked the angle. I thought it was appropriate, but I thought Finn's intervention was unnecessary. I see that this was just to get Priest and Finn feuding again, and this was filler. Just feed Priest to Gunther because we have a PLE coming up. Um, so that was unnecessary. I felt like if you just worked the angle with the shoulder and had Gunther regain his confidence and be like, oh, he's the ring general and beat him, and end this, that would have been more appropriate because I don't want in the future Priest to come on the mic and be like, Gunther, you never beat me clean. It's just,
Yeah, and that's
yeah,
that's where we're at because that was how their first match ended too, was Balor interference. Um,
yeah. And that's giving too much credit to Priest. You're talking about a Gunther the longest reigning intercontinental, one of the longest reigning intercontinental championships. And now, or champions, excuse me. And now he's the world heavyweight champion. And to have Priest have that kind of feather in his cap is inappropriate. I personally don't agree with that creatively.
Yeah, and I just don't. I don't know the redundancy of doing it again. I I don't get it. And I don't care to see Finn and Priest feud again. Like we're kind of good there.
Yeah.
The only way that this could be construed as a good thing to me is if it leads to like Gunther getting pissed off at Finn or something. Um,
Oh,
which TBD, but I don't think they'll go that way with it. Um,
he did give him a good boot.
yeah, that's true. Like he did boot him after, yeah, being involved. Um, so yeah, I think because of it leading to Finn and Priest again, and Gunther losing not or sorry, winning not clean to Priest again. Um, I give this a C plus. Like the match itself was fine, but yeah, and maybe I maybe should go even lower than a C plus, but um, that's kind of where I fell. What did you think?
So Gunther, anything with Gunther automatically gets a higher grade because he's the best to ever do it, John. So I
Okay,
gave it a B because Gunther was present and in the arena.
okay.
No. So I just wanted to say this. Realistically, it was like a C at best. So here's my issue with the context of Priest versus Gunther. Gunther's a guy who took Randy Orton to the limit and Cody Rhodes. And you're trying to tell me he can't beat Priest clean, a man that he beat to take the title from, like
Yeah,
it just it pisses me off. And they should be doing Gunther more like they should just add more credibility to him because I want him to get to WrestleMania and feel like this unbeatable person that he was as an intercontinental champion. I don't want him to be 1,000-day reigning champion. I just want his legitimacy to not be tarnished by this really poor creative decision to have somebody like Priest take Gunther to the limit and then lose with interference. So yeah, I agree with you. It's definitely not anything over a C.
yeah. Um, I don't know who Gunther fights going forward, right?
Yeah, because what is Rollins going to be busy with Punk or something? We'll get into that, but I'm trying to think. Who are you going to feed next? Maybe you're right. Maybe Finn is. This is going to become some weird triple threat. And there's going to be a lot of animosity between Priest and Finn and Gunther. And the whole storyline will be, well, Priest has so much anger towards Finn, it's going to compromise his ability to capitalize and win the match if they have a triple threat world championship match. And Gunther's going to come away with that, but then what? What are you gonna? You're gonna have Finn and Priest still pissed at each other because they both didn't come away with the title. The whole Judgment Day angle is kind of tired at this point, and we need better direction for all the former and current members of that faction.
Definitely, and especially the women's division too, because yeah, I think everybody just wants the title off of Liv at this point. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's too bad. I mean, Judgment Day had some really good stuff going on, and like I don't know, it didn't seem appropriate that they retained against War Raiders this week too. Um, I just wish that there was I don't I don't know. There's just
Yeah.
no clear direction. But anyways, moving on from there, we have the men's War Games match to end the night. Um, they presented these teams very differently, right? Like the new Bloodline, they entered as
Yeah.
one unit, just with Solo Sokoa's music. They elected to start Tamatonga in the ring, and he just like went in and just climbed all over the place, just looked like actually a caged animal.
For
Um,
real.
Sammy, Jimmy, Punk, OTC, and Jay, they all entered separately in that order: Sammy, Jimmy, Punk, Roman, then Jay. Um, they had Jay enter from the stands and then just go right into the ring from there. It made sense to me having him start just with where
Yeah.
he is on the card and just how fans react to him and everything like that. I thought Jay and Tamatanga had kind of a decent like singles match for a little bit. You don't get to see Tamatanga by himself, and we've talked about just he's pretty clearly the better of the two Tongans. Um,
Very much so.
so that was kind of fun to see. Did you have anything that happened in this match, like maybe before everybody got in, or um, any
Um,
future spots? I guess.
I Yeah, so I thought this was masterful storytelling from the scale of it, right? From the groundwork to the entrances to all the little bells and whistles of the individuals. This was masterful storytelling because, like you, I thought uh, having Jay and Tonga go at it, I was like, this is where War Game shines when you have even the single competitors coming in and they're putting on a good, interesting bout, and you forget that others are going to join. You're already invested in what's going on with those two people, and you know it's going to get better and better. And that's what the masterful storytelling does. The in ring work was superb. I thought the energy from the Usos was reinvigorating after Crown Jewel. Oh my God, they were so sloppy and slow at Crown Jewel. I think I said it probably is jet lag, but they were snappy, man. They were snappy and they felt like a real tag team again. That was fun. I love even in the cage, you had storytelling. You had Solo be like, no, you're not going in yet. This guy's going in. And then you have the tension between Punk and Reigns. And the cherry on top of everything, John, was Paul Heyman coming out at that one point to verbally say War Games.
Yeah.
That oh man, it was great. It was like that meme of William Regal being like War Games, but it was reinvented with Paul, and how perfect. I bet you Paul Levesque was in the back smiling with everything falling into place.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And just to add on to that a little bit too with uh Paul Heyman. Yeah, he part of that like him yelling at them too was just like you need to bring out the best in each other, like just like trying to get Punk and Roman on the same page, and it was yeah, it was intense. It was really fun. Um let's see. So yeah, there was that point where Roman looked like he was going to enter the match, and then Punk like blew by him to end up getting in there first. I thought it was cool that he Punk on his way into the ring, he found like a toolbox like that he hit
Yeah,
Drew McIntyre with.
that was
Um,
great.
he got everyone with it basically, and then he hit Jacob Fatu with a running bulldog on top of the toolbox, which was pretty brutal.
That was great. Yeah.
Um,
Fatu again, John. Oh my God, the energy and the intensity.
I was really worried he got hurt. Like he had that spot where he went to go for the moonsault super quick and his foot just slipped and he fell and like
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
he kind of like he played it up the rest of the match as if it was injured. I that kind of makes me think he wasn't. You know what I mean?
You
Um
never know.
but he did definitely slip, so something happened. Um but yeah, no, he was just the whole time just this big ball of energy. Jimmy Uso was a big ball of energy when he entered. He didn't even care to grab a weapon, he was just like right in there.
It's right. Yep. That was
Uh,
great.
let's see, Fatu, we've talked about him. So yeah, when Roman went to enter at the end, like he
Mm-hmm.
was still slow, he's still like methodical with how he's got to get to the ring. Um, and then Solo ends up locking the the cage door, which
It was so
um,
funny.
I I thought it was funny in the moment, and then obviously Roman climbing in the cage and stuff. But what I didn't realize was happening until a little later was they had to get the door unlocked to be able to get a ref in to actually start the match too. So like Roman was the last competitor in, but they didn't ring the bell, and I was kind of confused. But yeah, no ref was
Right.
in there, so that was kind of funny, being like, get the crew to get the chain link cutters or whatever, and like actually get the ref in there so we can start it.
And
Um,
what a great way to show desperation.
oh yeah, for sure. Just hey, let's keep this guy out. um,
Yeah.
yeah, and Solo knew full well what he was doing.
And the
Yeah,
redemption for Reigns to climb, overcome the odds in the moment. You're like, yeah, that's my tribal chief. Oh, for real, it was fun to see Reigns do something that was kind of action packed because you get used to this slow pace and his dramatic face and his promos. You forget that this guy can actually wrestle when he wants to or has to or whatever. To have him go in there and just start bitch slapping everybody, and oh my god, he actually did a splash. You don't see Reigns do that very often, and there's where the lag wasn't as present. That was
yeah,
I liked that. Obviously, you still had the grouping, and I think Bret Hart in an interview said, "You know what I don't like about today's wrestling? It's not technical, and it looks like a circus, like they're a bunch of gymnasts because they're always doing flips out of the ring." And that is true. When you don't time those spots right, they do look just absurd. But anyway, having Reigns overcome the odds and the storytelling at scale from the in ring work to the cage, to the entrances, to the pacing, the weapons, the nod to McIntyre in the toolbox, and to not have McIntyre there. Thank God. I didn't want him to. I wanted everything to unfold with what we were presented, and they did it skillfully, masterfully. I gave this an A.
okay, yeah. I went with an A minus, and the only reason why I didn't give it a full fledged A is because I was thinking back to WrestleMania 17, and
Oh,
there's like three A's on that I gave, and to me this match didn't really sniff any of those.
okay.
Um, so I did feel like it was the best match on the show, though. I don't think I gave anything higher than a B before that. So so yeah, I went with an A minus, and one thing I wanted to bring up with like not lag, but like a good example of a delay, I guess, happened in this match. Because there was a spot where Jimmy and Jay hit Jacob Fatu with the 1D, and then Jay gets a table set up for Fatu to get laid upon, rather.
Yeah.
And Jimmy was like readying for a splash at that moment, but there was just like a lot of other shit happening. The Tongans distracted for a moment, but then like Sammy took those guys out. Um, and yeah, then he ends up getting on top of the cage and splashing Fatu. So like, I think they kind of made it look like he wasn't going to go to the top of the cage if he was able to execute it right
Mm-hmm.
away. But then all the delays happening, and then all these other guys getting taken out around him, and Fatu's still just present on the table. He's like, okay, I'm gonna really make this count and go up on top.
I was with you, but I kind of interpreted the whole thing not as delay, but as more story because I felt like they did this and in a way to present like Jimmy was like reading the room. He's like, "Do I do it now? Oh, my buddy. Okay, he's good. Oh, my buddy. All right, he's good." And he felt conflicted the whole time.
Yeah,
Where like if you take the spot with Tiffany and Io Sky, I didn't see that. I didn't see any conflict. I didn't see them reading the room. I just saw them looking to be like, is everybody ready for this big spot? All right.
true.
So but I will say there was delay and it felt awkward. And if I didn't spin it like that for you, I could totally see how the natural response would be Jimmy, just jump.
Right, right. Um, let's see. So then, yeah, after that, they basically got to the spot where all the baby faces surrounded Solo Sokoa. Roman looks like he's gonna like take him in for an embrace. Um, but then Solo's like, nah, dude, and like threatens to spike everybody essentially. But then everyone super kicks him. Sammy gets a haluva. Um, and yeah, so then they get Punk to hit him with the GTS, and then Roman spears him. Um,
Yeah.
were there any spots before that? Because that was kind of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
end, I
I
guess.
John, I did want to mention there was this great pivot point that cemented some camaraderie between Punk and Reigns when Punk
Oh,
saved Reigns from that tsunami on the table, or So I've talked about before how Reigns has to learn to humble himself, but it seems like the only language he understands or respects is stuff like that, where Punk goes, "Let me get you, brother. Let me pull you out of harm's way." Like you have to demonstrate to Reigns your loyalty, and then he'll be like, "You're all right."
yeah,
So I thought that cemented their camaraderie in the moment, but you could still see Reigns is like, "What's your favorite?" The whole night looking at him like, "What is that? What do you want? What do you want from me?" Uh, so I just wanted to bring that up because synergistically, I felt like that was a capstone
yeah,
on the storytelling between Punk and Reigns and the trust or the lack of trust.
yeah. That's a really good point. They really did kind of cement a lot of that. Um, so yeah, after the match ends, you see Roman extend a handshake to Punk. And they do end up shaking hands. Uh, Punk and Paul kind of embrace as Punk is leaving the ring. You can. Did you hear them talking in that moment?
A little,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
they didn't answer what the favor was, but they kind of
Mm-hmm.
just were like, yeah, it's coming down the road. So that's kind of a cliffhanger, I guess. Like, I don't know if that gets addressed soon or in a year from now. It's like one of those things where like they could just shoehorn this in if they're like running out of ideas creatively or something. Just be like,
Right.
oh yeah, Punk has that favor still. And
It's like Money in the Bank, but a favor.
yeah, exactly. There you go. It's money in the bank for creative. Like they can
Yeah.
cash in their creative contract. Um, but
Well,
yeah,
do you mind just briefly touching on hypotheticals, what the favor could be?
sure.
Because there was one thing I anticipated. I anticipated The Rock to show up in some fashion.
Yeah,
I thought his music was going to hit. I thought we were going to get a repeat of last Survivor Series. Okay, War Games is over, but here's the big surprise.
yeah,
Um, However, it felt very fairy tale ending. It was like, yeah, and you got everybody like, yeah, and Punk's like, ooh. So everything was great. Hoorah for OTC. But yeah, let's just kind of feel out the favor. What could it be? Do you think it's as big as something like Punk gets a title shot and calls in a favor for Reigns to help him, or
Oh, where I thought you were gonna take that was like maybe Roman gets the title down the road and Punk like gets a shot.
oh,
Um,
ooh,
that's kind of what I thought. The other thing maybe is if I it, I'm pretty sure Punk and Rock don't like each other. If Punk was maybe like get me Rock's phone number or just
oh,
something like that. Like I kind of figured like one of those kind of favors, or it's like let me slip into this position, or let me get this little tidbit of information about this person, or um. But yeah, I really since it didn't happen, I really have no idea. Like it could be anything. It could be any time. I don't know.
like you said, money in the bank for creative.
Pretty much. Um What there was something I was going to add on to. I don't recall at the moment. But yeah, it'll be interesting now to see. Okay, so The Rock wasn't involved in this. Um, Roman didn't like specifically seek out the Ulafala. Like to me, it seemed like he could have just like snagged that up after the match, and but obviously they want to make that a whole thing too. Like they're gonna probably have like a title match adjacent match like for it between Solo and Roman, and maybe that's when we see Rock. I don't know, but do you have any other thoughts as
Mm.
far as like where the Bloodline feud goes from here, since now Roman is
I'm
on top, kind of?
I'm interested to see if the crossovers stop after War Games.
Oh, sure.
I want to see if Jimmy and Jay split again, or is this going to be all the way through to Mania where you have this extreme crossover? And I also am curious. So the next big event would be Royal Rumble, correct?
Yeah, unless you want to count in like Saturday night's main event and
Oh
Netflix
yeah.
debut. And there's going to be a second Saturday night main event in January, it turns out. Um,
Okay.
so
Okay.
those three things would be in between, yeah, I think Royal Rumble.
Yeah. It'll be interesting if we get like a head of the table match between Solo and maybe The Rock will be some part of that. I have this feeling John Cena is going to do something at the Royal Rumble, possibly even win it. I just have this feeling. I mean, his final tour starts, and
Hmm.
there's all this chatter about him getting one last title push.
Yeah, because it would be for title 17, which would put him above Ric Flair. So yeah, if they don't do it now, they're never going to do it. Um, so yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Do you think if Cena hypothetically did win a Royal Rumble, do you think he'd go for Cody, or do you think he'd go for
Hmm.
Gunther?
I think Cody versus Cena is a better match. Gunther versus Cena, I think Gunther, I don't know. I mean, could Cena perform in a match with Gunther? Like, what would that look like at his
Yeah,
age? Because I feel like you step into the ring with Gunther, you're in a fight. Like, you're gonna get choked, you're gonna get slammed. Where with Cody, you kind of get the classic WWE big fight feel. Um, I guess what I'm getting at is Gunther's a technical wrestler, and you have to have a technical talent to make him really shine to be at the top of the card at a big PLE. So I think Cena versus Rhodes is easier to do at Cena's age.
so then that would if that happened, then obviously Rock and Cody wouldn't happen. Um,
No, I think we would see Rock versus Reigns at
yeah,
WrestleMania. And I think we're going to see some type of, like I said, tribunal or some type of head of the table match, something like that. And gosh, where does that put those CM Punk and Rollins? And there's a lot of questions now. And
yeah.
like, as much as I complain about the Bloodline being a 3-year-old project, I have a lot of questions because now I feel like we're entering territory where we could go this way, that way. There's so many tangents, so many possibilities.
Yeah, and I like that for the most part. It could be something though that creative uses to have people put all their ideas on the internet, and then like they could be like, "Oh yeah, that's pretty good," you know, like, and
That's
then
right.
they
Kind of
they could be
fish
like, "Yeah, that's the smart fan. They knew what was going on," but really it was them, you know, just taking it in.
feeding. Yeah.
But
Man.
yeah,
And, you know, I think the Royal Rumble spills into February in 2025, which
yep.
is unusual because I think you get Elimination Chamber in February usually. Or is that?
Well, usually Royal Rumbles before Elimination Chamber, so I mean, it could
Yeah,
be like beginning and end of February or like beginning of
that makes
March.
sense.
Um, but yeah, um, this week we'll be going to SmackDown. We've brought it up a couple times now. We'll see if we get a Carmelo and Andrade match. I don't know.
I I don't think so because you're gonna get the Shinsuke coming in, and who knows if Knight will be on TV for the next couple weeks
True.
or if he's legitimately gonna rest. I will say I haven't personally been to an event where Roman Reigns is physically present,
Okay.
and I have a really good feeling he's gonna be there. So that's exciting because I've seen Gunther, I've seen Shinsuke, I've seen a lot of the people we're going to see, but not Reigns.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'll have to like think if there was anything unique for me about this show too, just because like there are certain like benchmarks like that, I guess you could say, that I've probably met most of them just because I've gone to more events, and gone to a couple of
And you're
AEW
yeah, and
PLEs
you've
and
been invited to their birthdays,
oh
and
yeah,
you
yep.
never had me tag along. You're
Yes,
always busy those days.
I should have got you down to Ric Flair's in Florida. That was
Yeah,
when I no, but for those wondering, I went to an NXT show in 2019, and Ric Flair happened to come out after, and it happened to be like his birthday week or something. So, like, yeah,
that's right.
that
And I got to see Flair at AEW with you last year
oh yeah, when he
when he said that. Yeah,
invited all the certain age group of women back to his hotel.
yep, yep, classic. Uh, and you're doing a double header. I this you did invite me to. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it, but you're going to the Minneapolis show for NXT.
Yep, they're doing their Deadline pay per view. It's going to be at the Armory, which is a theater. My I brought it up to my dad, and like he's like, "Oh, back in the '80s in Duluth, I went to the Armory and saw blah blah blah." So I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'll have to send him some pictures to see if it looks similar, or because
Heck
it'll
yeah.
be kind of like a an older school type of feel because it's not like a full fledged arena, and I don't really know. I guess they're gonna just put up their own LED boards and stuff because they don't
Mm,
really have that stuff in a theater. Um, but yeah, so I'll be going to that the night after. So that's Saturday, and
double header.
should be a good time. I didn't go to exactly a doubleheader like this before, but there was a AEW show in 2019, I think, or no, it was 2021. Where I went on Wednesday, and then Saturday there was a pay per view, so then I went to that too. So it was close, but not quite. Um,
Oh, this will be exciting. You'll have to send me photos as well. I do look forward to SmackDown though, so yeah, yeah, I'm pumped. It's a good time to be a wrestling fan, and hopefully people are sharing the podcast that we've been producing, and they're liking, subscribing. I know that in the future we'd like to do a little bit more with our social media presence, and we're toying, or at least I'm toying with the idea of actually kind of sitting down and writing some opinion pieces. So if people like the general chatter here, maybe you'll also like me getting my thoughts organized and posting something and sharing my opinion about maybe talent, direction, just industry news in general.
yeah, and I'll be on duty of making some ghost accounts and start heckling you on them. Your
There
opinion's
you
shit,
go.
Joel. Just who is this person? He's got 0 followers and 25 numbers in his handle. Who is this? Is this a
It's not
bot?
suspicious at all. Yeah.
Just make all these bot accounts. But uh yeah, yeah, so look out for that. I'm trying to think of ways I can contribute to that as well. Maybe I don't know, not ghost commenting, but maybe like
I
contributing to the
expect it
conversation in
now.
comments. Um, and I don't know, like I shot one like video one time about changing when we were airing, and that was like episode 2 or whatever. So we're we're lacking in that department. Joel has some concrete ideas. I'll try and get there with him. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, for now we do appreciate all the likes, subscribes. If you have anything to comment on, your own opinions, we might see a particular commenter return that was in jail for a little bit. He knows who he is. Oh, I got two separate requests to address that Linda McMahon was the Secretary of Education now.
Oh, hold up. We got to have lawyers present.
Oh yeah. We'll save it for another episode. I forgot to
No,
get him in on
no,
the
you
call.
should share. You should share. I will say too, because there will be a big holiday gap for PLEs. Good time to watch for our Chronicle episodes. John, I'd love to touch base with you and discuss like potential ideas for episodes.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, there's plenty of holiday themed stuff out there, and we still gotta figure out if we're gonna do something for Saturday night's main event. Also,
Oh yeah, that's
um,
right.
that'll be on the 14th, so we got a couple weeks to figure that out. Um, but yeah, no, we'll get some ideas to each other, start thinking of more content because yeah, like we discussed earlier, Royal Rumble's February, so we got a
Oddly,
little bit of time here.
yeah, for sure. So what were your about Linda McMahon
Oh, maybe
before
that'll
we
be a
go?
social media thing.
Okay, okay.
I don't got anything. I
Sounds
just
good to me,
remembered at
John.
the end. So, um, but yeah, we'll figure that out, or
Yeah,
maybe bring her up next time. But um,
there
yeah.
you go.
Anything else from you this week?
No, I can't. I like I said, I can't wait to go to SmackDown, and I can't wait to see photos and stuff or whatever you capture when you're at the NXT event. Uh Otherwise, I'm gonna just start thinking about Chronicles and share some ideas and maybe start some rough drafts about some of my opinions on uh, you know different people, events, and wrestling in general. So I'll
Excellent.
just keep doing what I'm doing on my end and touch base with you.
Sounds good. Yeah. Hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving and
Mm.
um, good holidays coming up here. Hopefully, we'll get you
Oh
something
yeah.
before Christmas. I'm sure we will. But yeah, everyone take care and we'll see you next time.